But Congress will not let this strike happen, that's for sure. It would be devastating to our economy, so we'll get to a resolution one way or another.
And Republicans will support the president if he agrees with the railroad workers.
Well, I certainly would. I mean, every member of Congress has got to speak for themselves, but failure is not an option here. We cannot have our transportation system responsible for 1/3 of our products being transported throughout our country shut down. That's not an option.
Indeed, not an option. You just watched Republican Brian Fitzpatrick talking about the looming rail strike. It was nice to hear him say, hey, if the president does that, agrees with what the rail workers want, I will vote for it. Can't speak for the rest of the GOP, but as for me, I'm right there with him. Very refreshing, Representative. Glad to see it. But what Representative Fitzpatrick says is still alarming as Republicans are set to take back Congress in the coming months. And we're not so sure that all Republicans would agree with what he just said. So under the Railway Labor Act of 1926, Congress has the authority to intervene in rail labor disputes, power it has used in the past. If Republicans intervene, they are likely to let railroad giants off the hook and continue to abuse their power and also their employees. And that is no stretch. Again, you just heard Representative Fitzpatrick, he paused. I mean, there was a little pause there, Jessica. He couldn't even really answer that question. He said, well, for me, I will say yes, but for the rest, I can't speak. And I think that's very telling.
Yeah, I think it is really telling. Of course, this should not be a power of Congress, right? These disputes should be settled by the workers and their unions, and they should be allowed to go on strike for as long as they need to get their demands met, because they're not asking for much, and what they're asking for can be easily afforded by these rail companies that are profiting in the billions and spending those billions on stock buybacks when they could easily afford what the workers are asking for, which is to have sick days. They had no sick days when they went on strike, and these rail companies had 3 years to sort out these contracts, but didn't because they were so greedy. They wouldn't give their workers even one sick day, which is unheard of. And I think what everyone's afraid of is that if Congress does end up settling this dispute over the contract to end the strike, is that they're not gonna vote in favor or pass legislation in favor of the workers, that it's most likely going to benefit the rail companies. And a lot of people are trying to blame the workers for striking, because this strike will eventually lead to a huge disruption in our economy, because these rail lines cover about 1/3 of our economic activity on the supply side in this country. And so that's a huge consequence for people in grocery stores, but it's not the workers' fault, it's the boss's fault.
That's exactly right, and we should be concerned. And that's why when they first called themselves settling this, they should have settled it to the advantage of the workers, but they hedged, and here we are. And I'm really glad that the rail workers are not taking this line down, that they are fighting for their right to just have basic rights, basic decency on the job. And as a reminder, here's what the rail workers are asking for. Not a whole lot, as Jessica laid out. Demands for paid sick leave had become the primary point of contention in negotiations over a new contract. The issue that threatened to prompt a strike by more than 100,000 rail workers. You want to talk about shutting this down? It will be shut all the way down if the rail workers go on strike, and rightfully so. And what kind of bosses, what kind of people who own companies would not have within the purview, not the purview, but would not have within the work conditions for the workers an opportunity to have sick leave? To be human means from time to time you do not feel well. Why wouldn't they allow these workers? It's just a matter of course to be able to take sick time and not have penalty. We need to pass the PRO Act on the federal level, and the federal level needs to do a better job through public policy of protecting workers from this kind of foolishness and mayhem. And so this was sparked in June, as some of you may recall. A locomotive engineer died of a heart attack after he put off a doctor's visit because he was called into work. So you got workers afraid to even go to the doctor. It is sick. You understand me? It is absolutely sick. It is a moral stain on this nation that people do not have paid family, and sick leave. Let's underscore it, let's underline it, let's bold it, let's put it in a message in a bottle, let's do smoke signals, let's put it on Instagram, Twitter, all the social media. Ridiculous and immoral as hell as these people are killing themselves every single day, literally, to get packages through and goods through. Makes no sense. The federal government needs to hold these railroad companies accountable for this. Well, I don't know, they cozying up to these folks because they the owner donors. That's why somebody can die on the job like this, because they owner donors. So rail workers are often forced to be on call 24/7. You know what? That is no way to live. With minimal rest between long shifts and are penalized for taking days off for doctor's appointments or health emergencies. Again, to be human means you get sick. And then also, if you are not sick, you might have a family emergency. Why can't you have a paid day off? Because you need it. This is insanity. It really is. So the deal did not include sick days for workers when they first started negotiating this. And the Biden White House, as a victory for workers and profitable rail companies, the union rejected the contract. And rightfully so. I'm glad that they did reject the contract. When it comes to pay, since 2004, the profits of the largest American railroads have increased more than sevenfold, reaching nearly 23 billion last year. From 2015 to 2019, worker pay increased less than 14%, while pay for chief executives more than doubled. These folks are greedy as hell. Let's put up this tweet. When railroads refuse to give us sick time, what they are saying is their profits are worth more important than workers and the national economy. So anyway, their profits are more important than their workers and the national economy. Hold the railroads accountable. Tell your elected leaders to give railroad workers the sick time they need, or let them strike. And it's not just the sick time that they need, it's the sick time that they damn deserve. This is madness. So what's the solution? Let's put this up. One day of Warren Buffett's wealth gains could fund 15 days of paid sick leave for rail workers. Yeah, we said it. One day of Warren Buffett's wealth gains could fund 15 days of paid sick leave for rail workers. Thank you, Jake Johnson of Common Dreams, for making that clear. And one more, here's Senator Sanders laying it on him via tweet. Warren Buffett, the owner of SF Railways parent company, became $1.38 billion richer yesterday. In one day, Mr. Buffett made twice as much money as it would cost to guarantee 15 paid sick days a year to every rail worker in America. The greed of the rail industry must end. Oh yeah, baby, it must end. And it is going to be we the people. We got to, come on now. We got to lock arms with our sisters and brothers and family and friends in the rail industry. This makes no sense. And guess what? What happens to them directly definitely does happen to all of us indirectly, because if they shut this sucker down, baby, nothing is going to get through. So let's go ahead and support the rail workers.